Recording button.
Hello, guys. It's Tim Johnson here, and in this video podcast, and I'm hoping that this video turns out fine because my other two videos that I was doing, as far as more saxophone versions of songs that we all know and love, my last video didn't come out right. I mean, it came out okay, but hopefully the YouTube video player will skip the part that didn't come out right and can continue playing. If not, I will have to redo it. But the other video before that came out just fine, so I'll have to figure that out probably tomorrow. Anyway, in this video podcast, I know in my recent video podcasts, of course, I am a blind saxophonist from Portland, Oregon, and I've been playing now for about a year. One of the things that I haven't really covered in more detail, I know in recent videos that I did, I know I talked about feeling the vibration of a note. And I know a lot of people probably still have questions about it. And this is what I'm going to cover in this video podcast, as far as a lot of questions that many of you may have. Many of you probably have never probably seen anybody do before when playing the saxophone. Um, the saxophone, from a blindness perspective, is a very easy to understand and very accessible instrument. And what I mean by accessible instrument from a blindness perspective is that it has tactile keys, which I described in my video podcasts in one of them, and you can easily hear the keys as you press on them, and it's got nice pads inside those keys that make a sound when you press on it and let go. It has vibration, which you can feel on the instrument itself or on your voice box as you play. And you might be asking yourself, and I know a lot of people may ask, when you play a note and when you get to a certain note, why do you do that? Why do you do that? What does that mean when you do that? Well, first things first. Let's start off with the instruments that I did play when I was really young, at the age of 4. 3 years old, 4 years old. I started playing what was called a piano telephone, and that was a good instrument. But even though it didn't vibrate, I was still able to play it, even though it had flat keys. And those keys were easy to feel. But somehow the piano part of it broke down after about a certain period of months. I don't know exactly when it actually broke down, but it stopped working, so I couldn't use that. And then about a year later, I started playing the regular piano, which had flat keys. And this is something I struggled with a lot. I was still able to play songs on it. However, due to the flatness of the keys and due to not being able to feel the vibration, unless if I really stuck my head down there where it was, that presented somewhat of a problem. But I held through with it until then. And then, of course, I played the organ for a while, and that had even flatter keys on it, which I wasn't able to somehow work around. And again, that one didn't have any vibration up close that I could actually feel. And I had to put my head down where it was, and that almost resulted in me passing out because I got dizzy from feeling it down there. And I thought, ooh, I better stop this. I better stop that because this is not going to work long term. So after that, after playing the organ for a while and the regular piano, I played a Casio keyboard, and it was a good keyboard, even though it didn't have any vibrations or so. I was able to play a couple notes or two on it at the age of 7 years old, and I was able to play basic songs on it. As a little kid and stuff. And then, of course, I had to finish school at the Washington School for the Blind in Vancouver, Washington, when I was 10 and 11 years old. So from that point on, for a long time, I really didn't play any other instruments for that many years. For a while. And what really set me, and what made the saxophone really appealing to me, is the fact that it uses your own voice for your sound, and also because it's part of your body that you can wear all day long with all day comfort and not feel discomforted when it's around your neck. And also being able to play, but also feel the vibration of your own note up front, which allows me to collect information about that note and process it so I can identify, the vibration that my voice box is collecting from that note to make sure it's being processed properly. It also and because I don't really have the ability to read a note from a book, the saxophone allows us, from a blindness perspective, to really feel up close what we're doing and collect information about that note and feel its vibration as we play. Because in a way, that's kind of our way of reading that note based off of its vibration and being able to feel what that note is doing on our voice box, so that we can process it better, and also so we can analyze to see if our voice box is processing that note the way it should. Other instruments, again, like the piano and others, may not allow you to do this. In fact, they don't allow you to do this because they are way down below where the sound comes out of, and you would have to put your head way down there, and yet again, that could be dangerous, especially if you are a blind person playing, especially if you're trying to feel what you're doing. Although some blind people have done it quite well. And others, like myself, and I happen to fall into this category, have done it really well, but not with great success, though, because I wasn't able to adequately feel what I was doing. And for us people that are blind, we don't just have to hear our own sound, but also feel it at the same time. And the saxophone allows us to feel what we're playing. It allows us to feel what we're doing, so that way we can improve faster and really analyze what we're doing adequately, more accurately. And I know a lot of other people may wonder, okay, what does that mean when you hug your saxophone? Well, for some people, that may not apply to them because they probably don't do this. But for me specifically, what that means when you hug the saxophone,
Authentication.
it's
Login. Window. Logged in Tim Johnson. Button.
it's when you look at its body from a blindness perspective, and when you feel its body, when you feel all down below where the horn is and where the top of it is, and all the way down below where the buttons are almost, you can feel its beautiful, comforting brass finish. And it's a very beautiful design. And when you hug the saxophone, um, it provides, well, what it means to me specifically is that it comforts me from a lot of things I might be experiencing. For example, like say if I had a nightmare in my sleep for whatever reason, uh, for whatever it may be, when it's around your neck, even if you're not playing it at a certain time, whether it be 11 o'clock at night, if you're in an apartment complex like I am, where you got people asleep, like probably right now, it's almost 9 o'clock here in Portland. But when it's 9 o'clock, getting to be 10 o'clock, it's good to just wear it and also experience comforting, that comforting connection to it, both physically and both mentally. Because see, unlike other instruments that you might be accustomed to, the saxophone is a very easy on your neck, very gentle instrument on your neck when you wear it. And what I mean by it being very gentle on your neck, it's so gentle, in fact, when you wear it, it has an all-day comfort design that other instruments may not possess. It has, and that may be because of the neck strap itself or just the way the instrument is designed, but it has an all-day comfort design. So you could play all day long and not have your neck get tired. And you could stand up, like I'm going to do right now, and you could let go of it. Okay, I'm going to let go of it briefly. And it's not even pressing on my neck at all. It still feels comforting around my neck, even though I've got the neck strap nice and tight a little bit, so the mouthpiece goes in the right place. So I don't have to put too much mouthpiece in my mouth. Like that. So even though you're standing up, it still feels comforting around your body because of its comfort design. And I don't know where that comfort design stems from. It might be because of the brass finish itself on the instrument. I believe that's what it is. I think. But it's comfort design, and I can feel it around my body. From up to the top, all where the ring is, all the way down to where the buttons meet. Or, well, the tactile keys in this case meet. And it feels so comforting. It's not causing my neck discomfort at all. So this may be because of the neck strap that's on it. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it is, I believe. Or again, it might be the brass finish of this. It might be the brass finish of the instrument, I believe. But it's very comforting when it's around my body, when I'm standing up. Okay, I'm going to sit back down again. There's the reed. Now, you might also be asking, how did you learn songs by ear so quickly within 1 month to a year on the saxophone and rising? How did you learn so quickly? Well, part of that gift that I have is not just being blind, but well, I wouldn't say being blind is a gift, but part of that gift that I have as far as being blind, especially because we have an instrument that allows us to feel the vibration of a note, that allows us to learn faster when we feel it, when we feel the note that we're playing. Because again, that allows us to analyze what that note is doing on our voice box and also on the instrument itself. And I was, when I was really little, I was tested to see how I learned songs by ear and how I identify songs by or how I identify things by ear without being able to read it. For example, I had a couple cassette tapes when I was really young, and those cassette tapes allowed me to identify what was what tape was what. For example, if I had a Metallica cassette tape or an Alice in Chains cassette tape or Stone to Temple Pilots in this case, what I did with that cassette tape, I would shake the tape with my hand, and that would allow me to identify what it was by its audible sound. And people were amazed at how I could easily do that by ear without being able to read the print on the tape, on the cassette tape. And of course, cassette tapes were fragile, so we all know what that was like if a tape broke or whatever. But those days are gone, unfortunately. But I do miss the old days where where that was. But times have changed and we have to move on. But that was one of the amazing things that people noticed about me when I was tested, to see why I learned stuff by ear so fast and what gave me, how I was born with this ability to learn stuff by ear so fast. And that was one of the things that I was tested on. Feeling a cassette tape and then shaking it. And then I would identify what tape it is by its sound that it made, which was a very useful feature, especially. So okay, well, and also, so yeah, what got me started on the saxophone today was at 34 years old when I heard saxophone stuff on my phone, I noticed how peaceful it was, and I noticed how expressive it is, because it allows us to really express how we're feeling in a positive way without getting upset at things. Because it's all done by your voice. And it's all done, just by expressing your sound with your voice. And that took me about a couple months to do, because when I first got the instrument, I had to work on a lot of things. I had to work on my embouchure getting started, and I'm still working on it. And that is still a work in progress. But I was able to make an expressive sound out of it after about a couple months of practicing and really getting my expressive sound out. And a lot of people really enjoyed that, really enjoyed how I was able to make my voice box on the saxophones sound expressive after about 2 to 3 months of playing. And I've been playing now for a year, and I started in January of 2018, which was last year. So, and I've played hundreds of songs on the saxophone, and that's why I've been doing all of those songs and posting them on here so that you can hear how those sound like, and to show you that if a song can be played on saxophone, that means it has melody to it. And if a song can't be played on saxophone, that means it's not saxophone friendly. So you want to analyze that song before you attempt to play it. And hear it a few times, and then study it, and then attempt to play it with your voice, using your ears and your fingers. And the fingering on the saxophone is very awesome, especially for us people who are blind saxophone players. And I know I described that in my video podcast. You can refer to that in my other video podcasts for more detail. Okay, I hope I was able to answer all of the questions that many of you may have. So, anyways, you guys have a good night. Okay, good night.
QuickTime Player, movie recording window, stop.